Okay everyone, welcome back to, I think this is part 4 of our ASP.NET Core web app where we're going to create a character counter app in ASP.NET Core. We did this already in Angular, now we're going to do an ASP.NET Core and then eventually the same thing in Flask. If you haven't watched the previous 3 videos, please go ahead and do so, that way you're up to speed, and if you're following along, you definitely want to do that. They're all in a playlist so you can check them out easily. And today we're just going to talk about basic Razor syntax and what Razor is. And if you like this kind of content, please consider subscribing. That way you don't miss any in the future. And without further ado, let's get into it. So we're going to go back to our project, and then anything CS/HTML you can think of as a Razor page. So if we go back to our home directory here on the right, and then index.CS/HTML, right up here is an example of what we can do in Razor. And Razor basically just allows you to embed some code into your HTML to make it more dynamic. For our case, we're going to embed some C#. And so what does that mean? Well, let's put a paragraph down here and let's show off the Razor syntax. So if we're just going to embed a simple statement, we're going to use the @ symbol and then our C# code. So for instance, datetime.now.toString. And what this is going to do, it's going to take the C# and it's going to execute, hey, what's the datetime.now.toString value? And let's put it inside this HTML paragraph. And now if we go ahead and run this, we now get the time. And notice that when I update, it'll update the time because it updates and runs that C# each and every time. And so what I want to do now is put a variable up here and then reference it down here in our paragraph. Or maybe we can make a separate paragraph for this. But the difference between what we see here and what we see here is this is a single line statement, and Razor's smart enough to know what's the C# and what's the HTML tags. And then it looks up here, it says, okay, anything inside of these squiggly lines or these squiggly braces is a section of C# code. So up here we can say var name is going to be equal to the string Tom. And then down here, if we do a separate paragraph, we can do @name to reference the name variable up top. So notice that it's not in the same code block, yet it still knows about the variable name up above. Now if we recompile this and we look at the output, we now see the value of name, which is Tom, right? And we can do fancier things if we wanted to, so maybe you can see the power here. If it's Tommy, we could do name.substring from index 0 to 3, and we'll recompile this. And notice it's giving us back the same thing, but that's because from substring index 0 to 3, 3 being excluded, Tom is going to be the output of that. If we change it to 4, maybe that wasn't the best example. Let's recompile. And now we get Tom with 2 M's. So maybe you're starting to see the power of doing this and being able to do this. And then one last thing I wanted to show you in this example, for whatever reason, let's say you have a var called markup, and that's going to be equal to some valid HTML. So let's put another paragraph in here, or actually let's make it a bold tag, and then inside of this put hello, and then the end of the bold. And so if we did the same thing, let's put a div down here. And then inside of this, if we said, hey, let's put the output of markup, let's see what happens. Notice it didn't render this as HTML. It rendered it as the string, open tag B, hello, close tag B. If we wanted to render this as actual HTML, what you have to do is, let's copy this to see the difference, is to do @html.raw and then pass in some raw HTML. In our case, it's going to be whatever's in markup. Now if we recompile this and look at it again, we see the before when we didn't use that html.raw, and then after when we did, it rendered it as the HTML itself. So in the next video, I want to talk about some if statements and loops in Razor, and then we'll just see where we go from there. But thanks for watching. I hope to see you in the next video. Hopefully you enjoyed this and found it useful, and see you in the next one.